Hello and welcome to the Apex Con here at the Apex Gaming Home Store in Caldwell, Ohio. I'm Ross Merriam, joined by my partner in crime, Corey Baumeister.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
It is Sunday here at Apex Con, and that means Team Trios Modern. After Standard yesterday, we have 44 teams showing up to battle it out for their share of $5,000 in prizes. That means 6 rounds of Swiss today, followed by a cut to the top 8. Tons of magic here to play. Corey, are you ready?
Oh, I'm ready. People love Modern, People love Modern here in Caldwell, Ohio, and so do I. I'm excited to see how much Edge of Eternities we actually see, and honestly, even if we see none, it's still going to be a great tournament as Modern's really deep. A lot of great viable decks. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a great metagame. I was checking out what people were playing. I don't think there's any deck over 10 or 12% of the metagame right now. Boros Energy is at the top. There's,
as it usually is, yep.
Plenty of Orzhov Blink. There's plenty of, Goryo's Vengeance decks in the room.
Yep.
And we're going to be seeing one of those here in round 1. It's our team of Justin Sau, Chris Hafner, and Zachary McAdoo, who won yesterday's Standard Trios event.
Yep.
Back to try to make it 2 in a row.
I mean, we got to give them their flowers as well as give them a chance to run it back here in the feature match area. It's really impressive to see them take it down with some unique decks in Standard as well, so make sure to check that out if you missed any of the broadcast yesterday. And, let's see if they can do it again.
Yeah, we're going to be watching Justin Sau, who is playing Esper Goryo's Vengeance, but his list is a little bit different than the stock builds. I'm looking at it right now. I see 4 copies of Leyline Binding. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, a little bit of domain splash to this. We have the Jund, the Zatora's Proving Ground that you can get, as well as, you can just pair that with the other half of the land, get domain on turn 2, and looks pretty nice to me, I mean, playing Otherworldly Gaze is maybe a card we don't see a lot, but it's in that kind of faithful mending, or faithless mending. I forget what the... Faithful mending. It's in that kind of slot where that card kind of, sucks anyways. So I like it. The list looks pretty good. You still have the key cards that you need. The 4 Atraxa, the 1 Griselbrand, the 4 Frogs, and then, of course, the 4 Goryos. That's, really all you truly need.
Yeah, and this is a deck that already played a lot of different basic land types. They usually had 1 green Surveil land to fetch for in case they wanted to hard cast Atraxa late in the game.
Hey, sometimes, you get those Goryo's Vengeance strips from you, or you just can never find them, and you got to cast that big thing.
Yeah, so all it really took was adding that 1 tri-land that Zatora's Proving Ground, and now Leyline Binding is a perfectly viable card. Gives you another really flexible piece of interaction. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. A lot better, Fatal Push is the other card that you have in that slot, and, it's a very minimal cost. And the one thing I really like about it is when you do your Atraxa things, you always got an enchantment.
Yeah, it's another type for Atraxa. That's a good point. It's a card that can answer things like Rest in Peace and other Graveyard Hate.
Yeah.
Really cool innovation there for Justin Sau. His opponent this round, Joe Marchiano, excuse me, going to be playing Mono Green Broodscale combo. Also a somewhat innovative list. This is one that's popped up on Magic Online in recent days and weeks. Playing Devourer of Destiny, a 4 of that we normally see in the Eldrazi ramp decks.
Yeah.
In order to enable Ugin's Labyrinth. There's 3 Ugin's Labyrinths in the mana base, so this is sort of a more ramp-oriented version of the Broodscale combo deck, but still 4 copies of Broodscale, 4 Blade of the Bloodchief, 4 Ancient Stirrings, 4 Malevolent Rumble, so we can set up this combo very quickly.
And you play this deck, quite often, right? I mean, I know you're kind of on Belcher a little bit more these days.
Well, I've played both.
Yeah, you're kind of on both, but do you like the red version a little bit more, maybe in the wider metagame?
I am what they call a Chrysalis believer.
Yes.
Chrysalis truther.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, I'm the same way. I think the Devourer of Destinies, while there's going to be some applications, I bet this is better against, Boros, being able to have a big Eldrazi to blow something up. Maybe not going to be as impactful up against the Goryo deck. If you Devourer of Destiny away in Atraxa, well, Atraxa already got to eat.
Yeah, I will say Ugin's Labyrinth is the real get here.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of Devourer, but if it enables Ugin's Labyrinth, that's interesting, because Eldrazi Temple is the best card in the deck.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Now you got more of those.
Yeah, you get more of them, but they are conditional. You do have to have one of your now 7 big spells with Emrakul and Devour. So
Yeah.
it's not free. Otherwise, it is just a waste. But
But having more of those 2-mana lands allows you to get to Kozilek's Command faster.
Yeah.
That's going to be an important card in this matchup
Very.
as main deck Graveyard Hate, along with that one copy of Soul Guide Lantern. So
Yeah.
if Marchiano can find those cards early, keep the Goryo's Vengeance deck from doing its Goryo's Vengeance thing,
yeah.
he can clean up with the combo a little bit later.
Yeah, and now that you say that, I do look at Justin's list one more time. Thoughtseize is not being played, so that's usually the card that you can push through those commands and stuff like that. So has to lean on Force Negation to be able to counter that if he wants to do the Leyline Binding thing, which that can still be done.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah.
And the other key card I would point out from Marchiano's list is that main deck copy of Vexing Bauble. There's 2 more on
Yeah.
the sideboard as well. That's a really critical card in any Solitude matchup for Broodscale. Stopping the Solitudes, because that's the best way for them to interact with your combo, is important. This is also a build that has Force Negation, so you can stop those as well.
Yeah.
Although, Justin Sau's build comes prepared to answer things like Vexing Bauble with those Leyline Bindings and Pest Control.
Oh, yeah. I like it. So, this is some spicy stuff.
Yeah, both of these players coming with builds that seem to be prepared for this matchup, so it'll be interesting to see which one comes out on top.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Okay, our players are ready in the feature match area, so let's head on down there and get this Modern Trios tournament underway. Chris Hafner, you can see in the middle on your left.
A phenomenal Magic
Sau
player.
is also on your left, and that means Marchiano on the right. They're on the near table here.
And I gotta say, Justin's just whole vibe is nice. His hat is great. I believe the kids would say he's got drip, maybe Riz. I don't know. I don't speak young person anymore,
Could
but
be aura. It's something.
Yeah.
There's definitely a 4-letter word.
Exactly. So maybe you're the wrong person to ask for confirmation
I might
on
be
this.
the most wrong.
Yeah. Well, regardless, all I know is Justin has it. Okay. That's a stylish young man there.
Okay, turn 1, Blade of the Blood Chief kicked this off for Joe Marchiano. Then has an Urza Saga into a Malevolent Rumble on turn 2, and there's a couple of Asking Broodscales in that set. He takes one of them, puts that Vexing Bauble into the graveyard, though, so that's not going to be available to get off of the Urza Saga Chapter 3.
And I like that because, as okay as Vexing Bauble is, it's not the catch-all be-all. In this matchup, being able to deal with it with Leyline or just, not really do the whole Solitude for free thing, just hard cast it, that's totally fine too.
Yeah. Now, Sau led off this game with, looks like an Otherworldly Gaze and no cards in the graveyard, so he must have left all 3 on top.
Just had it. Had the goods on top.
Okay, Marchiano deploying this Broodscale, so he's just going for a combo, saying, do you have a removal spell? So we can equip the Blade, and then the spawn that came off of Malevolent Rumble will start the chain.
Okay. And we can just get infinite mana, get that going, and then if we have something else to do with it, then it would be GG. Of course, It can't attack this turn, so it can't just attack for the win. But that looks like a 2-mana Leyline Binding if I've ever seen one.
Okay, so now, big question for Sau. Which permanent do you exile?
Yeah.
He goes for the Blade. Interesting choice with the Saga on 2.
Yeah, because it's just going to go get another one, right? And if you did just see one of the Basking Broodscales picked up immediately, and there's another one in the yard already, you have to assume that there's not another Broodscale in hand. So, yeah, I would have went for the Broodscale for sure.
Definitely suggests that he has an answer to the Broodscale that is separate, maybe a Solitude.
Yeah. Yeah, that could easily be. Or maybe an answer for this Urza Saga. Not that I see a ton of stuff in the main.
Yeah, sometimes you see main deck consigns even in these Ephemerate builds, but none for Justin Sau. Okay, so no play on Sau's third turn. He passes back to Marchiano for turn 4. And that means Chapter 3 on Urza Saga. Let's see if he wants to find another Blade.
Yeah, I don't
He does.
see any removal spell right away. It's hard to see exactly what's in Justin's hand besides one Force Negation popping up. Okay, there is another Leyline Binding, so ready to do the same play here of eat another Blade, or this time you could take the Broodscale.
Sau goes for the Blade again.
Okay.
Clearly has it in mind that Blade is the more important combo piece.
Yeah, also interesting from Joe, you could have went for just Haywire Might to then get back your other Blade here. Oh, baby.
Seiju.
Can't force a negation that. This could be GG.
Yeah, Marchiano needs a land here to equip the blade.
And then sack the spawn.
But if he does and Sao doesn't have another piece of interaction...
I mean, he just can't, right? Besides Solitude, but this version does not play Fatal Pushes.
He can get an untapped white source from the Boseiju and have another binding.
That's fair. Third binding.
Looks like the spawn is being sacrificed to equip. Marchiano could then start the chain with a Walking Ballista here. And that's what he has,
right.
Ballista on 0. So Ballista on 0 will die. That'll trigger the blade, which will then add a counter to the Broodscale, which will give him a spawn. And then you can sack the spawn for a colorless, trigger the blade, add a counter to the Broodscale, make a spawn.
And get it going.
Continue ad infinitum.
And I see nothing of the sorts here to be able to interact here from Justin. So
and now the Broodscale isn't summoning 6, so... Okay, well, Durant Flashraker will also kill Justin, attacking would have as well.
Hey, I mean, that kind of all came down to taking the bigger creature or not, and not necessarily that it would have prevented Justin from losing, but it would have made it so that creature would have been summoning sick. With the Glaring Fleshraker, it still would have got it done, but, I still think I would have went for the creature, because if you do deal with the Leyline Binding...
Well, if you binding the Broodscale at that point, then in order to combo, Marchiano has to Boseiju the first binding and get back the Broodscale. He didn't have a second copy of the Broodscale, and then your second binding just answers the Broodscale.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, and just the Boseiju, no matter what, would put that creature. It would be summoning sick, on this turn where he just won the game. So. Yeah, I would tend to go for the creature as well, especially because you just have way more blades in your deck. If you count Urza Saga, you count Blade. You can kind of count Haywire Might, but whatever. That's going to just be good regardless. And the more I look at this this specific matchup, the Leyline Bindings, as cool as they are, the fact that Haywire Might and Urza Saga is around, I think it is a liability in this matchup specifically. But, yeah, it doesn't mean it's a incorrect choice for the weekend or anything.
Well, let's see if Justin Sao has something else in his sideboard for this matchup. I'm looking at 2 Ashiok Dreamrender, 2 Celestial Purge, 3 Consign to Memory, 1 Extirpate, 2 Mystical Dispute, 2 Worm's Chant, 1 Teferi Time Raveler, and 2 Wrath of the Skies. Corey, what do you like?
Yeah, I really like Wrath of the Skies, being able to blow up the Saga, blow up the Blade, kind of just clean everything up. Looks really nice, as well as Consign. The deck is still very much a colorless Eldrazi deck, so you have a lot of ways to have that just be a 1-mana counterspell to anything. There is, of course, the possibility of Caverns on the other side, but I think it is still good enough. Outside of that, that's probably all I'm jumping out of my seat for.
You don't like Extirpate or Teferi at all?
I don't think so. Extirpate's a little too narrow for me. Teferi, whenever you're on the play, it looks pretty good. That's the type of card, basically in every matchup besides, like, Amulet, these all Belcher maybe, well, no, you won't against Belcher, as it's really nice for the bloom, but, these kind of, like, all-in combo-style decks, I don't like Teferi, but otherwise, if I'm on the play, I'm putting Teferi in, and if I'm on the draw, I'm usually taking that card out pretty much 100% of the time.
I like Teferi against Urza Saga and Kozilek's Command specifically. It stops Command from interrupting you. You could bounce Saga. That's a really strong play.
Yeah, that's a good point. So for Command, it's probably worth it. When you're not playing Thoughtseize. That's kind of your Thoughtseize in that sense.
Right. So heading over to Marchiano's list, I see a second copy of Cavern of Souls in the sideboard. He has 1 in the main, 3 Dismember, 1 Grafdigger's Cage, 1 Heroic Intervention, 2 Pick Your Poison, 2 Tamiyo's Safekeeping, 2 Thief of Existence, 2 more Vexing Baubles, and 1 Warping Whale.
I don't love a ton here. I probably would be bringing in that other Cavern. I bet that Cavern comes in against any deck with islands, as you just have to know that Consign is everywhere, as well as the Cage. The Cage looks excellent, and if you bring in 1 Cage, you have 5 Cage, as you have Urza's Saga to be able to search for it. Outside of that, nothing looks amazing. You could bring in Pick Your Poison if you want to deal with Leyline Bindings, but the deck's already pretty well equipped to deal with it, with all your Boseijus and your Sagas that gets Haywire Mites. So not anything too crazy here, besides the obvious Cage and Cavern look good to me.
I think the extra baubles will come in because they're important against Solitude. Maybe not both of them, but a second one. And they come at such a low opportunity cost.
Yeah, as you can just cycle them away.
And then there's something to be said for Dismember in these Goryo's Vengeance matchups. It really depends on how many creatures they have.
Yeah.
Some lists are more creature heavy than others. Sal's, in terms of, small creatures, not creatures you Goryos, Sal's doesn't have as many creatures, but this is closed deck list right now in this list. So Marchiano may think he has more like Tomios and things like that.
Yeah.
And maybe bring in some Dismembers, but if I knew Sal's list, I wouldn't.
If I knew Sal's list, I wouldn't as well, just because if I want to bring in a removal spell, I want it to kill Frog. And Dismember doesn't always kill Frog. And a deck like, mono green Broodscale here, it's not like you're going to Dismember it, and then if they discard the 3-4 cards, then you're going to have another removal spell. You're not going to have another Dismember more than likely. You're not going to have a Bolt to finish it off. So you don't run into that trap where you can just say, hey, if these cards are not good in my hand, I'm going to discard them because this Frog's going to do some work, and it's going to be huge.
That pesky Frog. It's so hard to answer.
It's such a good card. I have been starting to be on the side of join them instead of beat them when it comes to the Frog, and it pains me because, there's one thing Frogs don't have in common with the decks I usually like to play is there's no Frog Mox Opal deck, believe it or not. So that just shows that my beautiful, beautiful Opal is not my favorite style of modern deck right now. I've been playing a lot of Esper Goryos and a lot of Esper Ketramos as my two decks. Frog is a hell of a drug, let me tell you.
It's really good Ketramos.
Oh, it's so good, let me tell you. And I mean, honestly, I still think it's better in Esper Goryos just because the discarding of the gigantic creatures is unbelievable. And, still being a distraction, so your opponent has to deal with that, and then all of a sudden you're like, oops, Goryos.
Yeah.
It's insane in both decks, obviously. But
it's so hard to have removal spells in your deck against the Goryo's Vengeance.
Yeah.
You're holding that Dismember, and you're like, oh, Atraxa.
Yes.
Cool.
Won't be killing that one.
Okay, looks like at least one mulligan came this game for Justin Sau, so I'm going to be starting... I think I got a mulligan to 5 here.
Well... So I'm almost taken down with a mulligan to 5 in the finals yesterday, so I believe he can make it happen.
Joe Marchiano led off with a revealed Devourer of Destiny, so we'll get to look at the top 4 and pick one of them if he wants to keep it, and he does, so...
One person mulligan, the other one gets to manipulate the top of their deck. Real fair magic here.
There's an Ugin's Labyrinth turn 1 for Joe Marchiano, tucks the Devourer of Destiny under it. The full combo.
Ooh, yes.
That's the Eldrazi combo.
I believe that's Splinter Twin. Is that correct?
Sau sacks the fetch land on end step, gets a Watery Grave. Looks like it's entering untapped, so maybe an Otherworldly Gaze here.
Yep, that would be the only thing that would make sense.
There it is.
Oh, man, Justin mulligan to 4.
I see a couple lands. That's not a Jace.
No. I've been seeing Jace more than I thought I would ever see Jace. AK, I saw it in one deck. So, looks like those were all kept on top.
I guess he needs his lands. So, Sau keeps a Delta on top, just plays it and passes back.
Yep. And, I mean, you could just fetch away the other stuff, so,
Okay.
But you would think you want to get rid of, like, if it's 2 bricks on top, you want to get rid of those. You want to thin your deck to just find Goryos and, the hits. Like, that's kind of what you need at this stage to catch yourself up. Attract to unmulligans you real quick.
Yeah, could have effectively just thinned his deck for free.
Yeah.
Now, flashbacks the Otherworldly Gaze on the end step. Marchiano with just Eldrazi Temple pass, so definitely a Kozilek
Oh, yeah,
stand.
100%. That's the old 4-mana pass with a collected company. I'd be like, dang it, I got nothing. But that being said, Justin can, do some good work and tax that by, like going to end step. Can go to his own end step. Maybe Joe fires it off, and in response, you Goryos. And if you have 3 mana, you can still look for an ephemerate type plan. So, Justin can tax that plan by just being patient. But Joe, of course, can just be patient back.
A couple cards went to the graveyard off that flashback gaze. One was Shadowy Backstreet. Can you tell what the other one is?
It looks like a creature, so I would assume it's one of the gigantic ones, probably Great Grand Gristlefather, but...
That's what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, but who knows? Either way, not a fan of Justin's deck for trying to figure out what the cards are so far.
And no third land for Justin Sao, and Marchiano content to just make land drops. Has a second Eldrazi Temple on turn 3, and now an Urza Saga on turn 4. So this Saga will give him some pressure if he wants it, allowing him to hold up this obvious Kozilek's command the entire time, make some constructs on the end step, and start pressuring Justin Sao's life total while he tries to draw out of this double mulligan.
And now it looks like Justin's with a pretty clear Esper Goryos thinking, hey, should I just go for it, get one of these out of there? I do see Goryos Vengeance, so.
There's a Tainted Indulgence on the end step for Justin Sao. So draw 2, discard 1, discards another copy of Indulgence.
Okay.
Now untaps and draws for his turn.
All right, I see a consign now. So we're cooking from Justin's side as we have Goryos Vengeance, we have consign. So if I was Justin, I would still say go and wait to do this on Joe's end step. Because if he does this here, you command in response, then you consign it. You're getting the cards, but you are not keeping around a giant creature.
Yeah, you also might get Joe to tap low with the Urza Saga. Because there could be 2 Kozilek's commands here.
There easily could, yeah. And maybe you're afraid of something.
Okay, so Boseiju on Hallowed Fountain in response to the Goryos.
I don't think that does what Joe wants it to do.
Justin floats a blue in response. We'll now find another land.
He might not have another untapped blue source, though, which is true. But still, it doesn't matter because you can float the blue and...
Is that plains that
it
he
looks
found?
like a plains, yep.
Could have found an island. There's an island in the deck.
Is there an island in the deck? Okay.
So, I guess wants to have consign plus ephemerate here.
Yep.
Okay, and here's a big Kozilek's command for Marchiano, so this consign is going to set up Justin Sao potentially with everything.
Yeah.
Because of the Boseiju. Now he has mana for an ephemerate.
Yeah, I think that was a huge blunder by Joe. Like, all of a sudden now Atraxa is just going to run rampant here. Maybe we don't have an ephemerate anyway, so it doesn't matter. But either way, did not love that play.
Okay, here's the 10 cards from the Atraxa trigger. It's Goryo's Vengeance, Consigned Memory, another Atraxa, and a big pile of lands. Maybe there's another...
I think that's a Wrath of the Skies behind Goryos.
Okay, and I think there's another Goryo's on top of the Atraxa.
Yeah, who knows?
And there's a Philology Archaeologist in the middle of the pile as well. So a lot of options here for Sao.
Just like Justin himself, his deck is dripped out.
So 4 cards coming off of this trigger. It's Marsh Flats, Consigned to Memory, and a couple cards I do not recognize.
Wrath of the Skies, and then I don't know what that top one is either.
So...
Oh, Solitude, right?
Yeah, okay. Solitude, Wrath of the Skies, Consign, and Marsh Flats to the hand.
Solid.
So didn't find an ephemerate. Not sure if he has one in hand. Looks like the answer is no. So the Atraxa goes away. Marchiano avoids complete disaster.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. And looks like we'll be able to discard one more card. And wow, discarding Tainted Indulgence is strange to me, especially discarding 2 of them.
Must like his other cards quite a bit.
Yep.
So the turn goes back to Marchiano. This Urza Saga is now going to Chapter 3. This could find a Blade to be half the combo. It could find Vexing Bauble to stop that Solitude.
Yep.
And this could just be a full combo turn for Joe.
Yeah, it could be. That is the one nice thing about this Broodscale combo deck. You know, it gets to play a little bit of a controlling game with Saga and holding up commands, and then all of a sudden, it has an I win button, you know? And I mean...
Yeah.
There are certain decks in Modern's past, you know, Breach being the most recent, where that style of gameplay is a very good recipe for success.
And if you're Justin Sao, your opponent with so much mana doesn't make a construct and finds Vexing Bauble, that's got to be scary.
That is scary.
Hey, just a Devour of Destiny cast for Joe Marchiano, so vanilla 6/6.
Yeah, I mean, the Devourers do not look good in this matchup at all. You know, I mean, the best thing they do is the pregame actions, in my opinion. But, hey, you know, that'll attack. That's a clock. It's not something you really want to bounce. You know, it is something that you're plenty fine Leyline binding because it is a cast trigger for that, not a come into play ability.
Marchiano rebuys the Devourer that was under Ugin's Lab. So another 6/6
Oh,
potentially coming here.
yeah. Colossal Dreadmaw, eat your heart out.
Oh, they don't trample.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah, nothing's quite as good as Colossal Dreadmaw.
No.
No.
We're close to Alpha Tyrannax status.
Looks like we're completing Delirium with that fetch.
That looks like Zayatora's proving ground.
Sure does. And now let's see what we got. I mean, wouldn't you get rid of all those Tainted Indulgence? Tainted Indulgence looks great right now, so. Even if it is just a 2-mana draw 2, which, you know, sometimes that's a drawback, sometimes that's a benefit.
Okay, what does Sao want to deploy? There's a Leyline Binding. Is this going to hit the 6/6 or the Vexing Ball to unlock that Solitude?
Yeah, but when you're about to untap with 5 mana, not so bad. Hey,
Okay.
that's not a card I thought we were going to see brought in, but hey,
Yeah.
it looks pretty good here.
Tamio's Safekeeping will protect the Devourer. Leyline Binding will stay on the battlefield.
Which can be nice. If Justin has something like it's a fairy, you can always pick it up, redeploy it.
Yeah, players looks like they're confirming life totals right now. Might have been a discrepancy. Looks like Sao going to be at 14, Marchiano at 15. Okay, no play for Marchiano in his own turn, and we know that there's another Devourer in hand, so...
So now you know there's also a command. Otherwise, Joe would be very fine presenting a little bit more pressure.
Okay, here's Wrath of the Skies, so this will answer the Vexing Bauble. Sao casts it for X = 1, so no energy left over. Bauble down, and now the Solitude in hand is unlocked.
Didn't want to sack it to draw a card, too, which was interesting.
Devourer comes across, Sao drops to 8. And now an Urza Saga the play for Marchiano. That can add some more pressure to this board.
Yep. And now I would think this seems quite tempting to drop another threat.
Not for Joe.
Especially because you could still hold up command for 1. And that's all you need, you know? Bait out a consign if it's there.
I mean, no play for either player this turn cycle, so back to Marchiano. Saga goes up to 2. Sao has 4 mana available, but just takes this attack, so he drops to 2 life from the Devourer. And now both the Devourer and the impending construct from this Urza Saga will be lethal threats on the following turn.
So this looks like you really need one of those big bads. Gristlebrand and Atraxa, something to go over the top.
Here's a Basking Broodscale. That'll put Justin Sao up to 3 from the Grove.
Yeah, and represents not only lethal from multiple creatures, but also represents the combo. And there is Atraxa.
No end of turn play from Justin Sao.
Crazy to me when you've been discarding Tainted Indulgences to then leave yourself without plays. Like that's the bridge card, you know?
Yeah. Has another Wrath of the Skies. That'll answer the Broodscale and the Urza Saga. Okay. But now Justin is tapped out. Will need to Solitude this Devourer.
And you'd think you just saw Tamio's Safekeeping. You should have did it before draw.
Goes for it on the attack, but Joe does not have a way to protect, so...
Okay.
Looks like he pitched another Solitude to that Solitude, to Justin. The Devourer will get exiled. Marchiano will go up to 21 life. And for now...
is this an Emrakul count? This looks like an Emrakul count. And so if that's the case, not having a second Solitude for that is usually a GG. There it is. The end is promised.
There is a third Solitude.
Okay, that's
pitches
big.
Atraxa, so Emrakul gets exiled. Marchiano up to 34. Now we'll get to see what's left in Justin Sao's hand.
My favorite turns. The old Emrakul turn. So it looks like Frog, Consign, and then something. That looks like a Thoughtseize, but I don't think I saw Thoughtseizes in the list. This could be one of Extirpate. It looks like a 1 black thing, but... we shall see.
You can try to empty the hand, but you would leave Justin with a frog in play that can start drawing cards. You can also exile the graveyard with a frog.
Yep. Or you could. Okay, that looks like an ephemerate now.
So it's ephemerate, frog, consign.
Yeah. So you can frog, discard your whole hand, exile all the graveyard, and leave with just a frog. You know, but then frog does get to connect. Justin will go up to essentially 2 cards in hand. But I mean, that play still looks pretty good.
Yeah. You could even discard frog and consign, and then ephemerate the frog just to reset its size. Leave it as a 1/2.
Yeah. Yep. Nope. I like that.
Frog would still be able to start attacking, but wouldn't be as much of a threat. Looks like that is the play for Marchiano, and now we'll see exactly how big the graveyard is, because you have to exile them 3 cards at a time.
Yep.
Looks like there need to be 1 left. So, just a land left in the graveyard and a frog in play for Justin Sau. See if the frog can carry this game.
Can ribbit to victory.
But Marchiano also pretty low on resources. There's like 3 cards back in hand, has plenty of mana.
One of them is a Devourer, though. So the Devourer looks excellent here.
Okay, so card for turn and card from Frog for Sau. One of them is a Surveil land.
And then, of course, at any time, Joe can draw something like that Walking Ballista and just end the game outright.
There's another Frog.
Which is fine. It will allow Justin to draw 2 cards next turn by pitching one of them and exiling the other 2 cards to jump over this probable Devourer.
Here's Malevolent Rumble for Marchiano. It finds Glaring Fleshraker or Blade.
Yeah, Fleshraker when your opponents have 4 seems pretty juicy.
So not quite enough mana to play Fleshraker and Devourer.
Yep, that is a problem, and I would think I would lean on Devourer here, even though you're not gaining the max amount of value, but...
Yeah. Marchiano agrees, so takes out 1 frog with the trigger, and now the 6/6 should check the other frog because there's only 1 card in graveyard.
Oh, yeah, it exiles, not destroys, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, yep, then that's a problem. I was thinking it would put a frog to the yard, you could discard your 1 card and redraw, but as it stands, this looks like there's really no way out here. Justin's in the abyss, having to chump block with his powerful froggy.
Yeah, here's that Fleshraker. So 2 colorless creatures will be enough. Drum, that's 1 damage, so Sau drops to 3 from the spawn entering. And then a pass of the turn from Marchiano.
And hard to think of any outs from there.
Okay, Marchiano takes this match down 2-0. His team up a match here. Looks like both of the remaining matches are still playing. Why don't we go to the middle with Hafner?
Yeah, let's check out some Hafner action.
He'll be playing against Anthony Brown, who is on a very interesting deck list, sort of a hybrid between the Orzhov Ketramos deck and Esper Goryos.
Okay. I like it. And then Boros Energy here for Chris. We see Chris play that pretty much every time, and always plays it quite well. See him in the top 8 pretty consistently.
Yeah, he is a Boros aficionado, that is for sure.
Yep.
Right, we will get life totals and game counts updated as soon as we can. Looks like we're in the early stages of this game. An early a Johnny for Chris Hafner, and Brown is going to answer that with a prismatic ending. Does leave the token around, though.
Yeah, this is a spicy build. You know, being able to just combine the Goryos plus the Ketramos. You know, there is only 3 Goryos, so it's an interesting build to say the least. But hey, you know, this is the type of deck that can go really long already. So, you know, the Orzhov Ketramos deck, I mean, where you can get to a lot of mana because you play this grindy value game. You see turn 8, turn 9, turn 10 a lot in Modern. So, you know, being able to hardcast Atraxa seems a lot easier in this deck than it is in traditional Esper Goryo style decks.
Yeah, perfectly fine plan. And, you know, when you're playing a deck that is sort of hybridized in this way, you really have to massage the numbers.
You got to massage the numbers. You know, you really gotta figure it out and really, you know, just get it done.
The numbers are very tense.
Exactly.
They need to relax.
Stressed out.
Okay, Hafner presses his advantage with a turn 3 Fable of the Mirror Breaker. So now Brown staring down 2 tokens and a Reflection in a couple turns.
And I see a pest control brought to front here for Anthony, so that's kind of the thought. That or Overlord. Basically, do you want to clean up these tokens, or do you want to get a little bit of some proactivity going? And it's close, I mean, getting rid of 4 power, preventing a treasure, all that is pretty big game. I think I would probably lean on pest control here. It doesn't get too much better.
Brown ends up going for Overlord of the Balemerc. Sees Atraxa, Solitude, and another Overlord. Takes the Solitude.
It's got to be about as good as it gets. Flip over the Atraxa, get some interaction. Now, if we have Goryos, all of a sudden this Esper Ketramos deck is doing something that traditional lists cannot do.
Okay, I think that was a shadowy Backstreet as the Surveil land, but
looks like the Golgari one.
Golgari?
But
yeah, there's one Underground Mortuary.
yep.
Yeah.
Gotta cast Atraxa, baby.
Yeah, there's a green tint on it. My eyes don't work as good as they used to.
Yeah, they sure don't.
Okay, the 2 tokens come across for Hafner here. So Brown going to take 4, drop to 13, I believe. And the treasure comes for Hafner.
One of my favorite sideboard cards in Modern right now, and, just in Modern's history in Chris's hand, a Celestial Purge as a fantastic sideboard card in his hand here.
Okay. And this is a Thraben Charm, so that will exile Anthony Brown's graveyard, eliminate the threat of that Atraxa.
Yep. Hey, and that's something normally Chris wouldn't have to do, but the threat of an instant speed Goryos is just too dangerous, where all of a sudden you just 2-mana Bajuka Bogged your opponent, which is not a great use of a card, especially because it looks like Anthony didn't actually have it. But hey, that's the squeeze this version puts you under, is Chris has no idea what Anthony is truly playing in this list, because this is not by any means stock.
Yeah, hard to play around at all. Sometimes you play around to the wrong thing.
Yeah, or you play around too many things, and then all of a sudden you don't really have the right amount of pressure type thing.
Yeah. Looks like both teammates on either side are helping out with this match, so I think this is going to be decisive. This is game 3, and I think the other 2 matches were split. So the winner of this game will take it down for their team and move to 1-0.
And just really tells you, all right, how's this day gonna go? Are we gonna be in a rough spot, or are we going to have ourselves a good start to the day?
Flooded Strand is land 4 for Anthony Brown. He fetches and shocks in a Hallowed Fountain, so he drops to 10, but has a lot of mana to work with on this turn, and believe he does have the pest control in hand, so he can clean up this battlefield pretty well.
Yep, get rid of a couple permanents here.
Okay, he goes for a Flicker Wisp, so going to try to blink the Overlord.
Gonna be spicy.
And
Celestial Purge once again breaking it.
interesting there, Hafner deciding to use the treasure to play the Purge, so now he can fetch up an Elegant Parlor.
So you can put Flage into the yard. I mean, why not? Honestly, every time my opponent surveils here where Flage just ends the game, I'm just like, yep, here we go. I just mentally prepare myself already for the devastation that's about to happen, especially with that Arena of Glory just ready to end the game if the old Boros Titan gets flipped into the yard.
We know Anthony has a Solitude in hand from the Overlord, so should be somewhat safe.
Still.
Not going to die.
Yeah. You're going to die inside, though.
Yeah, it'll be bad.
Yeah, you're going to die inside for sure, though.
Okay, Reflection of Kiki Jiki enters from the 3rd chapter of Fable. That'll be online next turn for Hafner.
And pretty much bricks in hand for Chris. I see land, Static Prison, and Bombardment looks pretty solid, but not the bestest of hands.
There's Bombardment being cast. Anthony Brown going to give this a think.
Yeah, tough to do anything but let that one resolve.
Okay, both creatures enter the red zone, the tokens. A treasure comes for Hafner. Now does Brown want to block with this Flicker Wisp?
I would think yes, because if you don't and you go to Pest Control next turn, you're going to lose the Flicker Wisp anyways, so you might as well soak up some damage, get rid of that Shaman.
Brown agrees. Flicker Wisp jumps in front of Goblin Shaman. Brown takes 2, drops to 8.
Now, pretty medium hand there for Chris. Static Prison for this maybe potential frog that was just drawn. Looks okay.
And still pretty big a grip for Anthony Brown, so his life total is getting a little bit low. He needs to be careful there, but I think he has the tools here to stabilize the board and take over this game.
Yep, but of course, one draw step, one flage away from just this game being completely flipped on its end. Even something like Seasoned Pyromancer. You know, Chris and Boros Energy in general just has so many big draws all the time. The card quality is through the roof with this aggressive deck, something we haven't seen, you know, for a very long time when it comes to aggressive decks.
Oh, absolutely. It's impressive what this deck can do in terms of aggressive capability and then winning games on turn 10.
Yeah, exactly. Longevity plus the immediate burst, you know, and I actually, you know, there's of course always Boros Energy haters because, well, it's the best deck and people just lose their mind when there's a best deck in a format, you know, but I think it is a good deck to have in the format. I think having a good aggro deck in Modern is a very healthy thing.
Absolutely, completely agree. I thought Modern was great back in the days of 5-color humans.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay. Wonder if Brown might look to try to hardcast this Solitude pretty soon, use that as a way to buffer his life total a little bit.
Yeah, possibility. Yeah, you're right, though. Anthony's hand is pretty stacked here. There are the tools available. That's a Clarion Conqueror. That's pest control. There's a frog. So there is a lot of things that can be happening here.
Interesting timing on that pest control after you've traded Flicker Wisp for one of the creatures that pest control could have killed much earlier.
Yeah, but it still just soaks up damage because you either take 2 or you take 1. Because that if you pest control the Shaman, then it gets sacked and killed the Flicker Wisp. So it's still soaked up more damage here from Anthony. So I still like his play, even though it just is. It looks a little strange, you know?
Okay, so Psychic Frog also comes down. As we noted, Hafner has the Static Prison for it and goes immediately to cast it. There's a Blood Moon drawn off the top.
Ooh.
Sometimes a really good card, but there's already basic Swamp, basic Plains in play for Brown.
Yeah, but still, if Blood Moon hits the battlefield, only one card in hand could actually be played from Anthony. But
yeah, Hafner declines to play it. Notably, he doesn't have any basic Plains, so he cut himself off of white mana and the Arena of Glories by playing it. Just comes across with the Reflection. So Brown down to 4, has no play on his turn besides a tapped Watery Grave. So I think we're going to see that Solitude this turn.
I would think so too. And with this fetch land, it's really a test. Be like, does Chris have a third Elegant Parlor? And no, the answer is no. So no Hero Surveil from the top ropes, try to hit a Flage. As now, you know, Chris has drawn some bricks here. Back to back to back, and a game that looked pretty good to go here for Chris. It's all of a sudden slipping away.
Okay, so a judge has been called over. Hafner went to his turn and played that Arid Mesa, but didn't announce his Static Prison trigger. So
yep.
Brown points this out, and now we'll see if Hafner is going to be given the opportunity to pay an energy and keep it around, or if Brown is going to get this Psychic Frog back.
Yeah, so is the game over, or are we still playing, you know? I mean, hey, and that's the thing, this competitive IRL, gotta remember your things.
Okay, looks like he does get an opportunity to pay the energy.
And even if, you know, like, even if you get to keep this, which, you know, whatever, I'll let the judge figure it out. It's no point in me speculating what should not happen. But even with this frog staying under the Static Prison, it's still looking quite bad for Chris here.
Yeah, draw Justice to land off the top. We'll get a basic Plains. We might see the Blood Moon cast now that Hafner will still have white mana under it. But I think the Blood Moon, too little, too late, and this Solitude on the Reflection is the turn the corner moment.
Yeah, but honestly, if Blood Moon got cast last turn, it shuts down hard casting Solitude, as well as I believe the other card in hand is Wrath of the Skies, and then Clarion Conqueror, you know, but
Okay. Hafner declines still to cast the Blood Moon. I think he's realizing that Flage is his best draw, and he wants to be able to escape it.
Yeah.
And have Arena of Glory. So the Blood Moon just a blank at this point. Solitude is cast for Brown. That looks like a Ketramos?
That's a Squall.
That's a Squall?
That is a good old Final Fantasy new card. Where the first line, Rough Divide, where you're able to get double strike with your Solitude. That's pretty good. And then whenever Squall itself deals combat damage to a player, return target permanent card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield.
Yeah, not a big graveyard from Anthony Brown because of that earlier Thraben charm.
It's got a Flicker Wisp. That's enough.
Okay, so the Solitude came across for 6, puts Brown up to 9, and Hafner down to 11. Now a Johnny the draw for Hafner. That's a big draw with that Goblin Bombardment.
That really, really is.
Okay, so sacks the Ajani to deal 1 to the Solitude, then makes a token after the Ajani transforms, deals 1 with the Ajani's ability. So Solitude down, but this Squall is quite the card.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to be saying, all right, Squall is going to be taking over here, but it looks awesome.
Yeah, so can attack, give it double strike, maybe bring back Flicker Wisp and blink out the blocker.
Nope, not how the card works.
Oh, it's when it deals damage,
Yeah.
not when it attacks. Yeah, one's an attack, one's a damage trigger.
Yeah, so
Hafner actually has the tools to protect the Ajani if there's no removal for Brown.
yep, which there is a Wrath of the Skies, so you could just Wrath of the Skies for, 1 or 0.
How about 2 and take out the Bombardment?
Yeah, even better. Wrath of the Skies. I mean, then at that point, Wrath for 3 and only pay 2 would be ideal. But I could also see, because there's a Bajuka Bog or a Bogart Trawler that got drawn as well. So either way, you got a lot of
That
things
looks
that
like
you can
a
do
Clarion
here.
Conqueror.
That sure is.
So that shuts down the Ajani. Does not shut down Goblin Bombardment.
Correct.
Now the Squall comes in, and the Cat token will chump.
And now bye-bye Graveyard, so no Flage hero move.
Yeah, Brown recognizing, along with Hafner, that Flades is among his most powerful draws.
Yeah.
So taking that one out immediately.
All right, this time Static Prison is gone. Mostly because Chris forgot again, but also has no energy.
So, yeah, Frog back in. Here's an Ocelot Pride off the top for Hafner, and that is not going to be enough.
Yeah, because you can't activate the Planeswalker here. That is Clarion Conqueror's little side ability, and all of a sudden, Anthony has all the creatures. Honestly, add insult to injury. He has Goryo's Vengeance. Put an Atraxa in. Oh, there we go. Why not? Send him to the Shadow Realm.
Ending the match with a flourish.
Yeah,
You'll love to see it. Anthony Brown takes down yesterday's champion, Chris Hafner, and his team with Joe Marchiano and Daniel Hovatter are going to move to 1-0. A great start in this modern event.
Yeah, you can't win them all, I guess, and they'll have to, if they want to make the top 8 again, start running the tables from here on out.
Yeah, there's